starts racing, your stomach turns, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, the feeling we get. What is it about this feeling that draws so many people in? The horror genre has some of the most loyal fans. People come back year after year to see continuations of their favorite franchises. Fans revere these gritty, low-budget films and elevate them to cult classic status. What is this dedication for? The fear, the thrills, the adrenaline? The idea that we subject ourselves to an emotion like fear willingly is a very complex thing to understand. For every movie, trend, and trope, there is a real-world connection that can be made to back it up. This is because to make a good horror movie, directors have to prey on our pre-existing fears. Take the realistic fears of our everyday life and twist them into a horrific reflection of our reality. But maybe this isn't just to scare us. Maybe we even find some comfort in this grotesque, alternate reality. Some of the first horror movies made were book-to-film adaptations of famous Gothic novels with classic characters like Frankenstein's monster and Dracula. In the 19th century, the world was full of xenophobia, racism, and this split into the world of horror movies. Characters like Dracula and the monster acted as an other in the eyes of the viewer. Just like the viewer's immigrant neighbors, these early monsters were treated as freaks or a plague on civilized society. Later trends like the rise of sci-fi and alien horror in 50s America can be related to a myriad of societal events like the creation of Area 51, the Roswell incident, and the communist Red Scare. Movies like Invasion of the Body Snatchers preyed on people's fear of not trusting their own neighbors, whether it be because they're an alien or a communist. And movies like The Thing and It Came from Outer Space use the fear that there may be other life forms, and that they may already be here. In the late 50s and 60s, there was an increase in zombie movies and more gory special effects. This most likely was due to the violence being displayed on people's TV screens from the Vietnam War. This was the first televised war, and it changed the way we viewed each other and the human capacity for violence. These are just a few examples of this phenomenon, and there are countless more that we could discuss. When we watch horror movies, we see our fears magnified and dramatized, and our real fears feel dull in comparison. It allows us to process our emotions on our terms, much like when somebody watches a drama if they're sad, or a rom-com if they're falling in love. Film itself has such a strong impact on our emotions in a way that I'd argue no other art form does. It puts you into the story. You feel the fear and the adrenaline, the validation of your own fears, and you feel the relief when the monster is dead and the credits roll. Maybe it's not as emotional as I'm making it seem. Maybe it's something more biological, an innate attraction to fear and the response that it creates within us. People derive pleasure from the experience of watching horror movies, otherwise there would be no horror movie fans. But what in our brains creates this feeling that we enjoy so much? Studies have found that when your brain is triggered into your fight or flight response, a whole host of chemicals are released into your body. These include endorphins and dopamine, both of which have a feel-good effect and are meant to help you cope with stressful or dangerous situations. Another chemical that's released is epinephrine, more commonly known as adrenaline, which is the cause of that heart racing feeling. So whether it's the desire for the release of endorphins and dopamine, or the relief after that buildup of adrenaline, we may be attracted to horror movies as a form of sensation seeking. We might be using them as a tool to create physiological responses that we find pleasurable. There are numerous theories and ideas that back up why we subject ourselves to horror time and time again, and some psychologists have dedicated their entire career to understanding this innate part of us that's drawn to fear. There's no way I could tell you the exact reasoning behind it. That's not what this has been about. Instead, think about it yourself. Come to your own conclusion. The next time you press play on a horror movie, stop and think, why do I love horror?